Hello, Culture Matters podcast. Before I introduce you to our guest, get ready. Here's a quote. I'm no prophet. My job is making windows where there were once walls. Michel Foucault. Our guest today, great friend of the Culture Matters podcast. If you haven't heard, episode 570, Quit Tomorrow. Or the other 15
How
episodes
about
our
that?
guest. How about that?
hmm
If you haven't listened to the Culture Matters podcast with John Duffin, Duffin Media,
Mm.
soon to be author, friend of the show, coach, mentor, professional. Go listen to those episodes after today. The most recent was episode 837 on the Culture Matters podcast. And man, we were reminiscing before we hit record about episode 570 because of
hmm
today we just released 943. We were talking about quitting tomorrow and what it takes to build. John, thanks for coming back
It's
to the
great to
show.
be back. You kidding me? It's great to be here, man. I missed you. Great to be back again. And I'm
So,
glad we didn't quit,
yeah,
right?
how many tomorrows have passed since Quit Tomorrow? That's my first question. It was released in October 8th of 2024. So that was right before the new year.
That's exactly
We're
right.
about halfway through the year.
Well, we're 6 months, so we're 9 months since the episode,
Wow.
and hundreds of episodes of content published on your end, and I've accelerated the pace of my own show a
Oh,
ton.
amazing.
So a heck of a lot of content that's been done since that point, and 9 months of calendar. So yeah, thank God we didn't quit, right?
Now, you've been working on a book for some time.
Yes.
Why?
When I hit a wall, I ask that exact question,
You know.
and the answers are never good. The book is called The Hyper Authenticity Business Blueprint. That's the title of the book. And the Hyper Authenticity Business Blueprint. To answer your question, why? It's changes a lot, but really what it comes down to is that you take experience. Like, you sometimes wonder, if you're a person, or this is for anybody listening, what value do you bring? The easiest way to be able to understand what your value is, or what your own authenticity is to put it into some sort of a system. A book, to me, is one of the most disciplined ways to do it. And so I host a podcast. I get to speak. I guest on podcasts. I speak. I speak a lot. Writing, as I've learned, is dramatically different. And so that's why am I doing it?
Hmm.
It's to put it into as succinct a system as I can in regards to what it is that I'm talking about, in terms of the ability to be able to utilize communications to improve your sales, executive, and leadership prowess.
What's the opposite of hyper authenticity?
Mhm. Sleepy authenticity, but I don't know.
No, like if
But
we're
the hyper part I added, and the reason I did was, I remember one of the things that used to make me feel uncomfortable about myself, right, is that people would often call me hyper. You've got that hyper sort of energy. And it wasn't always
Hmm.
spoken of in a complimentary vein. Yeah, and I remember someone saying to me early on, in regards to how they encountered me, and this person and I became really good friends. But the first time, she was the one that had the job that I wanted, and I'm interviewing with this person. Her name is Kim, and I remember she told our mutual friend after the interview, she's like, "He's really interesting," referring to me. He's got a different rhythm, and you have to get acclimated to the rhythm. But once you do, he's great. And I took that as a negative. Like I took it as a sense that, oh, I'm too much or in your face or whatever the case may be. So the hyper part for myself was to put myself at ease in the sense that the hyper authenticity is developing relationships that are so powerful that both people in the conversation, if it's two, both people become more authentic as a result, not just you.
Why not just lie?
Damn, I wish I had thought of that. Would have saved me so much time and
Chapter
trouble.
three, is that chapter three?
How many? That'll be the sequel. Why not lie? Why not just, here's the deal. Salespeople, I came from a career in sales, 30 years, and the relationships and all that ensued. And I remembered I would see what I thought of as prototypical salespeople. And sometimes they would have that, like that veneer, and there was an element of fakeness to it. I thought that's what you were supposed to have. Originally, I looked at it as cool. Well, when you were lying, you don't go beyond surface. You stay at surface, and surface doesn't get you very far. It doesn't solve very many problems. It doesn't make very many friends. It doesn't create too much in regards to success. And that sense of lying, that fake veneer, you might get some of the obvious results. You might get some of the highest, or I'm sorry, the low hanging fruit, so to speak. But you really want to get somewhere, you don't lie. You don't lie. It has to do with courage and bravery. It has to do with not people pleasing, all things that I needed work on in regards to being able to fully be myself.
Was there a time where that wasn't the case?
There was a lot of time when that wasn't the case. That was really hard for me because I was always so uncomfortable, personally, and that manifested in the beginning professionally. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I compare it with is I had success in spite of the fact that I wasn't being as true and authentic as I could have.
How did you manage?
Yeah, by being really good at being a people pleaser. So picture, for example, picture like the harried wait staff person, waiter, waitress, whatever. Like think of that person that's running from table to table and just doing, hey, and the clients, so to speak, or the executives or leadership is like, hey, get me this, get me that. And I'm just
Mhm.
running and getting and doing. Well, some people like that. Some people really like that. So I was looked at as the one who was like, oh my God, he's amazing. We asked for this and we got this and this and this and this. Well, you can get away with it, but it eats away at you. And it ate away at me.
There
So,
are listeners that are in that position right now.
right, right. And I knew I wasn't alone. I thought I was. I actually thought I was alone. I thought everyone, like between the fact that, look, the personal stuff, between going into recovery and being an alcoholic, drinking myself into crazy situations, being closeted, always deathly afraid of what you thought. And so I just would race through scenarios and I could win people over surface wise based on, some of the quirks of my personality. But when it got down to like a difficult situation, it got really hard.
How do how important is how important is your personal identity with
Mhm.
everything else?
Well, as I've gotten more experienced, code for either getting older or
Yeah.
in different circles, it's extremely important. It's extremely important to me, not because you need to know my personality so much, but for me to fully engage. Like, for instance, conversing with you, if I've got like this agenda in the back of my head that, or this impenetrable like wall, like I hope he doesn't ask me this, or that I've got a guard, I've got armor in front of me. So my conversations are more in depth. And you might ask, well, what does that matter? Well, it matters because the more in depth I am, the more authentic the other person becomes.
This is where it's like the culture that we're in.
Mhm.
I think at some level you do have to be on your guard.
Yeah, you
Like
think you do.
it's
Well, you think you do.
it, well, like how many people actually come across people that live different lifestyles and walks of life and that represent different values in the world, like absolutely, completely, dramatically. And what's the first guttural, like different people, right? We have this way, like it's someone's never been around a different someone that's absolutely completely different than them. What's the
Right.
first reaction?
Mhm.
It's horror,
Oh, it's really hard.
horror,
It
horror,
was, I'll just speak for
scary.
me. It was really difficult because my gut instinct was that if there was a problem of any kind, whether it was you encountered something about me you didn't like, or if I didn't know the answer to every single question that came up in a leadership conversation, or if I didn't rattle off every objection or solution, that you looked at me as weak or you looked at me as less than. And so it's really hard to drop that armor. The problem is if both sides in a communication, sales presentation, job promotion, speaking in front of an audience, if everyone is guarded, you can't receive the information properly. That ultimately, if it's somebody from a different culture, if it's somebody that is uncomfortable in any situation, they're not going to tell you everything you need to know. And if you're coming at it from a problem solving capability, or a problem solving mentality, you never get to the heart of what the problem is because your armor's up and their armor's up. So they never really tell you what's going on. They're just rattling off bullet points. And whether it is the climate today in anything, sports talk radio, politics, whatever, that so often you're not coming to an agreement, meaning the ability to solve a problem, to provide a solution that somebody wants so that they'll do something with it because they're so worried about winning an argument. And my thought is, are you really winning? So, what I've learned from experience is that the best relationships, the most successful business organizations, the ability to be able to sell, service, maintain clients so often has to do with just getting to the heart of what the problem is. And if somebody is demonstrating authenticity, the other person will be way more inclined to say, you know what, here's what's going on. Listen, here's exactly what's going on. This is where I need help. And it's so easy to solve problems when you know exactly where the other person's coming from. And when you solve their problem, I don't like expressions like win-win. That just sounds like salesy and cliched, you know? But really, that's what it comes down to. And results ensue, and relationships get stronger, and you get introduced to more people. And from that, you're able to generate that sense of momentum. And that's what I talk about in regards to the blueprint.
who is the hyper authenticity program for?
Mm. So it's for, first off, anyone having an important conversation. Let me get to the most general, and then I'll make it more specific. If you've got an important conversation coming up, sales, relationship, job, promotion, keeping your seat in the boardroom, making your board happy, or at least buying time, uh, winning over the culture of your organization. It's for everybody in that regard. Specifically, to hone that down, if you've had some level of success, but you've hit a wall in a business context, you're just not moving the needle like you used to, or you're getting passed over for promotions, or you've lost opportunities, your numbers aren't as strong, any of those options, you need this, because this is what you're doing to level up. And I learned it from my own direct experience, in addition to working with other people professionally. And that's how I know this delivers results.
It, how much of your, oh, okay.
What's that?
So to me, the what I get from that is
Mm-hmm.
people are unclear on their identity.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So who better to help them than someone that was living a different identity for,
Absolutely. Who
and I
was
think there's
unclear.
so much power in that. We're not really even scratching the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it called
Ooh.
pride
Mm-hmm.
because that's the only way to react to a culture of ignorance, anger, shame,
Fear.
confusion, fear, retribution, fear
Mm-hmm.
of,
Mm-hmm.
so like, yeah, because
Mm-hmm.
I just, you kind of glazed over earlier something about a closet. I'm thinking, what are you talking? Um,
Oh,
I'm like, wait,
is
what are
this
you
a Home
talking about?
Depot thing?
You're, I didn't know that you were, I didn't know that.
A builder? Um,
Hold on a second. Is he going to try to convert? What?
yeah,
Like,
that's exactly it.
is the
My
audience
intention
afraid?
is to convert
Yeah, like
everybody to gay.
is
So
the but like that's it, right? Is that how people walk around the world? They're afraid that they're going to
yeah,
be converted.
yeah, yes. And here's what I was going to say.
We're going to have the real conversation, John.
I
We
think the
can
real
have it.
conversation, you're afraid of being seen as to who you really are. And you then have to take on a character role. So it's not just,
Wow.
if I was like, I didn't come out of the closet until I was 40 years old. Big deal, right? No problem. Um, However, when
What
you
were you pushed? Were you pushed out of there?
well, I bluntly, I was
Holy shit.
hammered. I was hammered one night.
Wow.
And I wound up telling a friend of mine, I'm still friends with him. So I just was so drunk, and I had carried this guilt around
Wow.
for, oh my God, 20 years. I was 40, maybe 20. Yeah, I just wasn't going to tell you. I was either going to fix the problem, or, or what have you. You look like you want to ask me something.
No, I'm just curious. You think your life would
Yeah,
be happier and better if you stayed in there?
no, no. You know how I know? I know because that the angst that I dealt with, that I faced, that I carried around, is still palpable to me. Like, I still remember several instances of being really internally angry that I couldn't do it. And no one was stopping me. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, well, if you knew. And when I did come out, it wasn't like people were shocked. That was a little bit frustrating.
Was
You
it in the
know what I mean?
newspaper? Yeah. Was it in the newspaper where people, the world stopped?
Oh, relentless. No, no. In fact, the eye rolls that I got by some of the people I was closest with in the world, I still remember that too. to think that I carried this around like my big, deep, dark secret, and pretty much everyone was aware. Whereas my friend Karen once said, John, the only one that didn't know apparently was you. And so I it's that's baggage and armor. And my firm belief is everybody has some baggage or armor. And what that is specifically
Powerful.
doesn't really matter. What does matter is that sense that you're wearing armor because you don't feel comfortable with yourself. And so when you're not comfortable with yourself, you don't go as all in regards to your skill levels, what you learn, the risks that you take. And so when I was having conversations, they were always guarded until I got comfortable with myself. The hyper authenticity part is not throwing things in someone's face. It was simply a matter of
Huh.
being truly comfortable with myself and not being deathly afraid of what you thought. And the hyper
Wow.
part is the play on words of I was called that. And then when I realized I was okay and that it wasn't a problem, well, then I wasn't so hyper. You know what I mean? I still have energy, but I wasn't hyper. And so that it was the dismantling of a little bit of fear, the ability to go all in. I think of people that where it really manifests itself the best is people that I used to be fearful of because I thought they knew so much, or I can't keep up with them. They're too smart. They're too skilled. They're too, you know, and I found where it's most successful is when you're in a room with someone like that, and you give yourself the ability to not only be authentic, but the ability to just ask good questions of somebody. You diffuse somebody really right away, you know, and so you're able to bring the temperature down in important conversations so they don't feel as big and important. They're conversations, you know? And
Hmm.
so that's the whole premise of the system. The blueprint is that it's four pillars in the way that I utilize physicality and mindset and connection, which is the biggest one to me, that love connection and tech. And so that you sound true. And the easiest way to sound true is to be your most authentic. You don't have to sound announcery. You don't have to sound, you know what I mean? Like this ain't teaching you how to be a voiceover person, although that's great and I do it. But what it is the ability to be 100% engaged in a conversation, in a situation, and that you're able to stay in a conversation, in a situation, whether it's a big personal conversation, kind of like the one that you and I had at Pietro's several years ago. Nothing really was at stake in terms of an interview or a job or, you know what I mean, or a sale. But it was a really important conversation for me because you mattered. And
Thanks.
you're welcome. That was really important. So that's why I say for anyone who's about to have or expects to have important conversations, and you pretty much all do, how can you have it so that you get the most out of the conversation? And it's utilizing these four pillars and techniques and systems. And that's the stuff that I've developed and which helps me and has helped other people too.
What are what are fears that you have?
Currently or then or in general?
Wherever you're comfortable
Yeah,
being hyper authentic.
yeah, you got uh one of my biggest fears was I was less than you and whoever you happen to be. So I never felt confident enough. And in turn, I would think I'm not smart enough to keep up with, well, to say you, for instance. You're more learned than me. You've read more books than me. That means I'm not going to be able to defend myself in an argument or a conversation. Therefore, I'm less than, and I'll never go anywhere. That's one that comes back and repeats itself. That requires work. I always remembered, that another big fear of mine was, well, what if you find out about me? What will you do? Will you run away? Will you kick my butt? Will you know what I mean? Well, like what would you do? That overinflated sense of importance is the easiest way to describe it, you know. That was another. And the third, did I figure all this out too late? Shouldn't I have figured this out a long time ago? You know, in my 20s, right? Like think of how my life could have been different or what have you. And I've gotten pretty all right with all of those. But those were three biggies. I waited too long. I'm less than. And if you only knew, what would you do? And you can't believe how much I didn't go all in on certain things simply for one of those three or a combination of those three.
Mm.
And that's one of the most gratifying is I never have to feel that way anymore.
What do you what do people say when you share this with them?
Mm-hmm. It's funny that it's in the context when I do the energy it's the energy that's conveyed. They know, like, I don't have to explain anymore where my energy, or I'm sorry, where my energy comes from. There's an energy, I'm told all the time, and this sounds arrogant, I don't mean it that way, that my energy carries through. I've had relationships with people that I truthfully had no business having, like, we had. Right. And the relationships that I've been able to develop, maintain, and in some cases, which are funny to me, in circles that I would have thought I had no business being in unless I was in a delusional state of mind that I'm in. And it's not because I'm all that, it's because I'm able to allow myself to share the energy that I'm meant to share. And in turn, what people will say to me is, I've never seen an energy like that. And they don't, and I used to take it as, oh God, what's the matter with me? And now it's more of a case of great, because then when me and an audience, myself and a client, myself in a boardroom, whatever the case may be, when I'm interviewing someone, uh, we have much more true and on point conversations. I get told a lot. I ask really good questions. I get told a lot that I give very well thought out answers. I get complimented on my energy, but mostly how it manifests, they know, not that I'm all that, but we as a collective have really strong encounters. And that's when you can get to the root of a problem or a situation, because that other person will allow you to get there, and they'll help you, and they'll tell you exactly what's on their mind, and they won't be afraid because you've given them the grace to feel comfortable too. And that's what this is all about, is the ability of a little less dancing, a little less posturing. Can you just get to it? Have you ever heard people say that? Could you just get to it? Well, that's what this is all about. People get to it way easier, faster, and more directly when they don't have their guard or armor, when they're doing the time to prepare and ask better questions and be authentic and use their physicality, use their mindset, use that sense of connection. you just get faster results.
John, where can people get the book?
Oh, well, the author has to complete it, would be the first thing.
But
But it's coming soon. See, this is the reason I do this. And I'll tell you why. So this will be coming very shortly, deeply into it. The reason I do this is to make 100% certain that I cannot sit and dog this. I have created, look, I've got a full on at this moment. I have a fully fleshed out and completed online course. That's available today, now, right?
where?
And I will drop the link at this point exactly where to purchase it through my website. Duffinmedia.com would be the easiest way to do that, right? That's number one. Duffinmedia.com is the easiest way. The book itself is expected out fall 2025. And so soon, soon, soon. But it's finished now. It's just tightening up and making it prettier and all that sort of thing. But I'm terribly excited because, again, as I said, when you put a system together, it's so much easier than to be talking in all sorts of rambly stories, you know?
I always appreciate our time together. Thanks for
Mm.
your authenticity, your story, sharing who you are. Maybe it culture shocked some people that are listening.
Hope so.
If you're listening to this podcast, follow John's orders. Follow him on social media. Share this with a friend that needs a wake up call. And we will see you next time on the Culture Matters podcast.